Hello and welcome to the first tutorial key points video of W200. This tutorial was about introductions. First of all, it was introductions to the other members of the class. I would encourage you very strongly to get to know your fellow students, to talk with them, to share ideas, because together you can achieve a lot more than you can sitting purely on your own, learning for yourself without bouncing ideas off your colleagues. So during the class I sent around a form and I'm going to send it out to you by email, and if you'd like to put what contact details you'd like to share, I can make sure that everybody else who signed up for it also gets a copy of that, so you can get in touch. It's up to you to decide whether to use that, and if so, what contact details you want to give. But as I say, it's really valuable to work with colleagues, even if it's just to say how awful the tutor is and how horrible the subject is. Just talking together actually can be an encouragement. It was also an introduction to the course, and I put it in the context of the full law degree, and then went to look at the W200 course itself. And I think you'll find it very useful to look ahead, to map out what you're going to be studying, so that you can see what you're going to be looking at and when, and start to see the interrelationships, because of course all the knowledge that you're going to gain through this course is interrelated. But as we go through the course, we can introduce it to you topic by topic, and perhaps only later will you see where it fits together. Mapping out allows you to see in advance and makes for more effective study. So what does this course involve? Well, units 1 to 7, which we'll be doing in February and March, are about the English legal system, the courts, the people in the legal profession, the doctrines of precedent, and how to interpret statutes. This is the fundamentals of the English legal system. You're going to be doing that first. Then you have a period of tasters, where you'll be looking at constitutional law, human rights law, criminal law, and the law of obligations, which is otherwise known as contract and tort. And it'll give you a bit of background, but you'll develop it more in future courses. And then units 16 to 24, from May through to early August, EU law. Revision then, you have from early August to September, but it's never too early to start revising. Perhaps not revising with the intensity that you may give it as the exam is days away, but by regularly reviewing what you've learnt, because every time you review it, the more you bed it down in your mind. And then of course there's the exam in the second week of September. I discussed the ETMAs, the cut-off dates, and these are very strong, these cut-off dates. I only have a limited discretion as to extensions, and I would urge you to avoid extensions. If an event is foreseeable, you know, a holiday, or that a particular period of the year is going to be heavy at work, you need to plan ahead. I do this not because I'm a mean so-and-so, though I can be, but because I found in the last decade and a half of teaching on this course that actually giving extensions to students doesn't actually help. It just pushes the problem back a bit and can put on greater pressure towards the end of the course when you need to be revising. So I will encourage you as strongly as possible to avoid asking for extensions. The word limits don't exceed. You'll see in the book that the rules are that if it's 1,500 words, 1,500 words is the furthest point to which I can give you marks. All the wonderful stuff that may be later, I'm afraid I won't be able to look at that. This isn't just an arbitrary rule. It's there because it wants to encourage you to be succinct. And these are challenging word limits, and they're challenging because they're intended to develop that succinctness, which the Law Society would like to see more of in the legal profession. There are the exams, and there is the library day. I discussed resources, the OU provided materials, the manuals and textbooks, the tutorials, iTutorials, and you've got tutor group forums. I, as your tutor, am available by telephone, by Skype, by email, Google+. I'll be producing these tutorial key point videos after each tutorial, and as you've seen already, I will make available by means of handouts material that you can use, though again I would stress don't feel you have to read it all. In fact, it would be impossible to read it all if you've got absolutely anything else to do than study for this degree. Relevant current affairs. I will be sending you links and highlight issues by email. The Washminster blog regularly deals with matters that give examples of law as it comes up in the news. And again, I've sent you other details of services I can provide. The internet, you've had the useful websites handout. There's Washminster. I would say beware of Wikipedia, and certainly sites offering essay assistance. Anybody, and they don't have to prove their qualifications, can set up a website, so be very careful of those. I discussed being legally aware, the value of keeping abreast of current events, of news, legal programmes. You know, even EastEnders deals with legal issues. Go and see law in action. You can visit Parliament. You can visit the courts. There are lots of TV and radio programmes, but do be aware of some of the dangers of these. And reading. Why not relax by reading Rumpole or one of the other series of books about law? Again, a gentle way of adding to your understanding. I'm making a separate video about studying, and you have the link to that. Finally, as I will do on each of these tutorial key points video, I look forward to the next TMA. Now, we do have another tutorial before the TMA is due on the 5th of March, and I will again go over it. But the key points to look at as you're starting your preparation is the first question asks you to explain the sources and to evaluate the views expressed. So in explaining, that involves some defining, not getting a dictionary definition, but explaining as you explain to another intelligent human being what legislation is, what delegated legislation is, what common law means, custom, human rights law, and so on. It also, very briefly, involves explaining how legislation is made. Now, I wouldn't go more than a couple of sentences on this. Certainly don't get into there's a first reading, second reading, which does this, a committee stage, and so on. You haven't got enough words to do that, and as I say, that word limit is an absolute maximum. So explain and evaluate. The second question is all about Tessa. You're asked to discuss her liability, so again approach it very logically. What's the civil liability? What's the criminal liability? So you've got driving into the tractor and you've got the bill for the decorator. Is there criminal? Is there civil liability? If so, what it is and what she would need to prove. Clearly there's a little bit of contract, there's a bit of the tort of negligence. And again, you'll see from your book that it does set out what's required to be shown for criminal law. There's the claims that Tessa will make. If we're talking about a claim, we're talking about civil law. So again, look at those three scenarios. Is there a legally enforceable claim? And if so, where is that claim based? Is it based in contract? Is it based in tort? I would urge you to have a look in detail and spend a lot of time getting used to the criteria for TMAs. Page 7 to 13 of the ETMA guide set out the sorts of things that I have to look at to be the evidence for the conclusion I make about which marking band you're in. So it's worth looking at the words that are used there and how the differing levels are achieved. So have a look at that, have a think about the TMA, and I look forward to meeting you at the next tutorial, and if you can't make it at the tutorial, speaking to you through tutorial key point video 2. Thank you.